right? For the module 2 now, for public law, we're asked, well, of the 2022 paper, we're asked to define the term entrenched rights as it relates to the Constitution. What does entrenched rights speak to? When we were doing our review, we did speak about what entrenchment is and what fundamental rights are. So, what are entrenched rights?
Sir,
Go ahead.
to my knowledge, I would say here, entrenchment or entrenched rights, there is, well, no entrenchment. Entrenchment is a mechanism used to safeguard the provision of the Constitution so that they're not easily altered.
They're not easily amended, okay. So generally, the entrenched rights, right, would be using entrenchment right there. So entrenched rights, what we could do, we could refer them to like legal rights, right, or provisions, right, that are specifically protected and safeguarded within the Constitution itself, right, in a manner that makes them difficult to amend or repeal. That would be a lovely answer, right? That should be fine. So there are rights or provisions, right, that are safeguarded within a constitution, right, using a legal framework, or in such a manner that makes it difficult for them to amend or appeal, right? That should be fine there. They waste an entire page for one question. They could save the trees, save the trees. Um, Explain each of the following rights, emphasizing its importance to citizens, as these rights appear in any Commonwealth Caribbean country's constitution. Explain the function or the importance of the freedom of speech. Anyone?
Sir,
Go ahead.
sir, we could state that it allows individuals of like the country or the city, or it allows citizens, because it's important to citizens.
Mm-hmm.
So we can say it allows citizens to like express themselves without any like biases or anything like that. Hmm.
Sir, and you could also say allows people to express themselves without being like legally, imprisoned or fined or things like that. Sir, I don't remember the case that you used with the radio host. You could use that case to back up what you're saying.
Anguilla with Radio Anguilla, that case there.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So promote social justice. Go ahead. I think somebody raised their hand.
Yes, sir. I was going to say that freedom of speech is where citizens will be able to communicate their ideas and information as stated in the Constitution of Guyana, Section 146, subsection 1, that no one should be hindered in the enjoyment of his freedom of expression and to freedom to communicate their ideas and information.
Okay. Alright, so we have what's there? I'm just writing some points, I guess, that some persons could use to protect minority voices. But the thing is, no, one important thing about the freedom of speech, right? The freedom of speech is a foundation for many other freedoms, right? So it's a foundation for other freedoms. Right? Because it can promote the freedom of religion, the freedom of press, the freedom of assembly. All of these things are propagated via the freedom of speech. So speak about the propagation of other freedoms or the protection of other freedoms through the freedom of speech as well. So I have a lot of things that we can talk about there. Presumption of innocence. Presumption of innocence. It leads to a fair legal process. Protects the right to a fair hearing. I mean, the fair hearing is technically a legal process thing, you know. I guess to be heard, right? To be heard. It's a part of the. Okay, it's generally all under that though. It prevents unjust convictions. You can speak about that. Unjust convictions. It maintains public confidence.
Excuse me.
Go ahead.
Could Dicey's rule of law come here?
I mean, it's a part of it. But you're supposed to talk about the importance of the presumption of innocence specifically. So you could speak about Dicey, but like it's 4 marks. So you could talk about Dicey and then make sure that you explain the innocence properly. Yeah.
Sir, what about having proof? Like, proof must be presented before anyone can be held accountable for the certain actions. Like,
So the burden of
whatever
proof,
it is. Yes, sir.
that would be under fair legal process. Yeah. So that would
Okay.
actually, that's going to be an explanation of that point. Yes. It promotes the rule of law. So somebody said Dicey's rule of law, so I'm going to put that there. So promotes the rule of law. Alright. So those things are pretty fine. Just different points that you would use here. Now we have something that we might have to IRAC away. The newly formed Kingdom of Wakeland seeks to enact a constitution. Interesting. Within the constitution, it wishes to entrench certain rights. You have been hired by Wakeland as a legislative drafter and must propose rights to be entrenched in the constitution. Other than those given in B, so the freedom of speech and the presumption of innocence, right, suggest 3 rights which could be entrenched in the Constitution of Wakeland. Using 3 points, explain why these rights should be included in the Constitution of any country. What are the 3 rights? What is the first right that we should do? Somebody tell me a right that must go in.
Right to liberty.
The right to liberty. Give me the 3 points. Why we must use the right to liberty? Why that right to liberty? Among all else, why should this right be included?
Sir, to like prevent, number 1 would be like to prevent discrimination, because especially when it comes to race.
When it comes to race, express themselves. Okay, so you're talking about that. So individual autonomy. Alright? So no, the right for them to express themselves, for them to, do all of these different things, the freedom for them to make choices about their own lives. All of these different things we're talking about. Individual autonomy, lovely. Let me check the chat real quick because I fear I am not seeing valuable insights in the chat. Alright, so freedom of speech. Okay. So that, yeah, the answers are there. The answers are most definitely there in the chat for the questions that we were talking about. What else could we talk about?
False imprisonment.
Repeat?
I'm thinking in terms of like liberty, like falsely accused, false imprisonment.
So it promotes justice and fairness. So it prevents the false imprisonment and all those different things. Okay. That's really through the presumption of innocence, but okay, we can use it. We can still use it there. Justice and fairness will protect their right of liberty to so that they're not deprived of any freedom through any absurd means, stuff like that. Okay. One last point. We'll gain other civil liberties, right? So we can gain GAIN, okay, other civil liberties. So gaining other civil liberties. So once you have right to liberty, right, you can actually enjoy other liberties that are under right to liberty. So things like freedom of movement, freedom of expression, freedom of association, freedom from arbitrary arrest and detention, those type of things. All right. Give me another right that must be given. Another right now. Let's move on to the next one. What do you think must be in our constitutions? What right? Let me check the chat. Right to life. Okay. Why is the right to life important?
Because all other rights basically stem from it.
Okay. Okay. Anything else?
Sir, to prevent unlawful killing.
Okay, so to prevent unlawful killing, prevent violence and harm. Okay. Another one. We know that we have a legal and moral obligation to do this. Well, I would say legal, you know. I'm not sure about moral, but go ahead. As moral.
Sir,
what about?
Sir?
Yeah.
Oh, so Sarah was saying like probably to protect the interest of the citizens and like to maintain equality amongst them.
Humanitarian value and interests. So promote that. You guys must be able to explain these things now. That is not how you spell interest. It's interest. Interests. Okay. One last right that deserves to be in any constitution. One last one. What is one last right now? Oh, freedom of speech, you said? Oh, freedom of speech was declared up here, right? Other than freedom of speech. So when you're talking about the freedom of speech, you're talking about the freedom from censorship and stuff like that? Okay.
The right to movement.
The right to movement. Somebody said the right to privacy. I don't know if I should put it up to a vote because I know that you guys are not going to vote. But should we do the right of movement or right of privacy? The right of movement kind of falls under liberty. The right of privacy kind of also falls under liberty a little bit. Because the thing is, the liberty and the right to life really encompasses every other right. Right to liberty kind of does fit the discrimination as well. But okay, let's see which one should we use. Which one should we use? Privacy, discrimination, or movement? We could use all of them, you know. You guys could generally just use all of them. Freedom of expression would be under the right to liberty. As I said, all of them would generally be under the right to liberty and the right to life. But okay, so since movement was said first, that's why we're gonna use movement, right? To movement. Freedom of religion will most definitely come under liberty as well. I mean, all of these will come under liberty that we're stating, by the way. But the right to movement, what would be the 3 components under the right to movement?
Sir, I think people like they must be able to move freely, like without any type of restrictions. So if you want to go there, you should be allowed to go there without anyone saying, "Oh, you cannot be there," or something like that.
Okay, so it's also individual autonomy. Right, we have that as well. You have okay, so you're saying we prevent from isolation, prevention. That's not how that is spelled. Prevention of isolation and segregation. That's a big part, segregation, what the United States were, really into at the time, and South Africa, and currently, the states that are doing that right now and stuff. I won't mention it. But let's look at this now. Anything else? Last thing for the rights of movement. What's the last thing that put one under here? Health and well-being, I guess. I don't know. No. Could be health. Could be for family life, preserving family life. Family utility, stuff like that. Could put family utility. That's not how you spell utility. All right. Oh, I put the T wrong place. All right. So we have that there, right? / human dignity. So these different things. Dignity. Alright, lovely. So we have some rights there that should be enshrined. Alright. I think that is the end. Yeah, that's the end of the module 2.